Well, hey everyone, this video is part of our How to Read the Pentateuch series. And in this video, we're considering a theme. And the theme is Genesis as preparation. So if you struggle to read the Bible, and specifically the beginning of the Bible here, this video is for you. And of course, I have other videos that explain the structure of books, and I offer reflections at various points. I like to say these videos serve you by helping you create a mental map of various books and locating major landmarks along the way, so that you can better navigate through the story. So be sure to check out my other videos as well. Now, before we dive into the content, let me offer a quick illustration that'll highlight where we're going in this video. Now, whether you've been to a wedding or are married yourself, here's something that's common among weddings. And this could take place during the ceremony itself, or at the rehearsal dinner, or the wedding reception. But at some point, the bride and the groom express gratitude for everything that came before. They might express gratitude to their family members or offer thanksgiving for God's faithfulness and getting them through some difficult time, or thanks for all the amazing memories spent with friends that makes this day so special. Now, you get the idea. The wedding is a mountaintop experience. It's the height of this young couple's relationship so far. And as they look back on their past, everything that led up to this point now serves as a source of gratitude. When they go back and look at photos on Facebook or Instagram, when they relive fun memories over dinner, that preparation phase becomes content for reflection. And as they reflect on that preparation phase, it becomes a source of gratitude. Now, the same kind of thing is happening in the opening books of the Bible. Genesis through Deuteronomy form a complete whole, kind of like a television series with various seasons where each season moves the story forward. Same kind of thing here. And the covenant made between God and his people Israel stands as the mountaintop experience of these opening books, just like a covenant wedding between a bride and her groom. The covenant between God and Israel takes place beginning in Exodus chapter 19, when God starts to give the law, all the way until Numbers chapter 10, where Israel packs up to travel. So all of Genesis through the first half of Exodus serves as a preparation phase for the mountaintop experience to come. Now, how is this practically significant? Whether you've read through the Bible numerous times or this is your first time diving in, what's clear is just how imperfect humanity is. God acts as the creator and the sustainer of everything, and yet he invites part of his creation, humanity, to share in his role of creating and subduing and filling the earth. And we totally blow it. Read Genesis and you'll see one blunder right after another. And yet, as we read Genesis, we do so in a way that models a married couple's reflections on where they've come from. And as we reflect, it should produce a sense of gratitude for who God is and all that he's done and all that he's willing to endure. So to drive the point home, let's consider one example. In Genesis chapter 25, we're introduced to the main character in the story, and his name is Jacob. Jacob later is renamed Israel, from whom we know as the people of Israel. This Jacob, Israel guy, he had 12 sons from whom we know as the 12 tribes of Israel. So concerning the storyline of the Bible as a whole, this section in Genesis is profound. And as we look back on our history, this moment is momentous. God's people are born. And though this part of Israel's history is so special, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. From his birth, the storyteller lets us know that Jacob is a cheat. Later, he schemes and takes his brother's birthright. And then in another instance, he and his mom scheme to steal his brother's blessing. Here's such an important moment for Israel, and yet it's marred by scandal. And through it all, we see God's commitment to faithfully walk beside the people of Israel, in spite of their actions. Now let's pause for just a moment before we finish discussing our theme. Israel looked back to the story of Genesis after God had rescued them from Egypt and entered into covenant with him. Therefore, as they stand in covenant with God, they look back to see what God did to bring them to the relationship they're currently in. In the same way, we look back on the pages of Genesis in light of what God has done in Jesus to bring us into relationship that we're currently in. Just like ancient Israel, we stand within a covenant relationship looking back on what led to our current status. Just like ancient Israel, we read Genesis as preparation for God's mighty, saving, and faithful acts. And as we do, it should produce a sense of gratitude and trust and awe for the one who faithfully led us to the point that we're currently in. Practically then, as you read, you could ask questions like these. Why did the author insert this story? How does this story connect to God's saving purpose to bring us into covenant or being in covenant with God? How should this story or series of stories produce a sense of gratitude in me and my community? Or is there any link between this story and the big covenant event? Or lastly, how does what I'm reading prepare me to delight in the relationship to come? Now, to conclude, as you read Genesis, do so with this theme in view: Genesis as preparation.